Hey guys, and welcome to the next Game Gengo N3 grammar video. Game Gengo e yokoso. In this video, you're going to be learning how to use ni shitewa, ni taishite, ni shitagatte, and ni shitemo in Japanese. We're going to be having a look at how these pieces of grammar are used with a bunch of examples taken from video games, so that you can see in what situations and contexts these pieces of language are used in. This video is brought to you thanks to all the supporters on Patreon, so if you like the video, make sure to like, subscribe, and come join us on the Game Gengo Discord community on Patreon. So without further ado, let's get started.
私、うまくできたかな。初めてにしては上出来。
Ni shitewa. This is commonly translated as for or considering it's someone or something. And this piece of language is used after a verb or a noun to express that something is different from what you anticipated or expected. It's often used to either criticize or evaluate somebody else, and you don't really use it to talk about yourself. So if you want to express that something is different than what you would expect, like for example, your friend got a really good grade but they didn't study at all, you could say 勉強しなかったにしてはいい点が取れた. So it's kind of like despite the fact they didn't study, they got a good grade, or considering that they didn't study, they got a good grade. The expected outcome would be that you didn't get a good grade, and this ni shitewa is expressing that the reality goes against what you would expect. So like here in Final Fantasy X, even though it's your first time, considering it's your first time, for being your first time, you did a great job. 初めてにしては上出来じゃ. Again here in Pokemon, considering it's your first time, you did a great job. Here the expectation would be that you didn't do a good job, but you did.
まさか月数百万円は売り上げてたんだ。ガールズバーにしては有料物件さ。
Considering it's a girls' bar, it makes a lot of money. Here the expectation would be that it's not a great property, but it is.
お前にしては随分もっともらしいことを言うじゃないか。
Considering it's you, you're saying quite reasonable things. Here the expectation is that you don't say reasonable things, but he did.
ストームトルーパーにしては小柄ね。ルーク・スカイウォーカーです。逃げましょう。こっちへ。
Considering or for a stormtrooper, you're a little small. Here expressing that the expectation is stormtroopers are bigger, but this one is small. For a stormtrooper, you're a little small.
それでここに移り住んでいるわけか。それにしては子供が多いな。どうしてだ?
And here just used after sore, that, considering that. There are quite a lot of kids here, huh? So ni shitewa expresses that despite the expected reality, it's actually different. Despite the fact that it's your first time, considering it's your first time, you did a great job. Considering you're a stormtrooper, you're a little small. Considering it's a girls' bar, it's a great property.
確かにここまで人類は敗北してきた。それは巨人に対して無知だったからだ。
The next piece of N3 grammar that we have here is ni taishite. This is often translated as kind of like a towards, against, regarding, or even in contrast with. This comes from the verb taisu, to face, to be directed towards, or even to compare with and contrast with. So the main two uses are either to express the object of something like to, towards, or against something, or to express a contrast to something, in contrast to. So like seen here in Attack on Titan 2, ni taishite is used with the noun kyojin, the Titan. So here it's kind of acting as almost like about the Titans or regarding the Titans. And this is connecting the fact that they had no idea about the Titans, no idea regarding the Titans.
兵隊アンダーソン警部補に対して感情を抱いたのですか?
Or like seen here in Detroit Become Human, towards Variance and Lieutenant Anderson. Do you hold feelings for? So the feelings are towards the two things that come before ni taishite.
俺に対して細やかな気遣いをすんじゃねえ!
Here in Demon Slayer, we can see it being used as kind of like concerning. Ore ni taishite. Towards me or concerning me, don't worry about the small details.
俺だけ残ってもいいよ。
善逸さんは少し女の子に対して気遣いや節度を覚えてくださいね。
はい。
Towards girls, please remember to be considerate and moderate.
おい、今うるさいって言ったのか。年上に対してなんて口を聞いてるんだ。
Here in Digimon Survive, we can see it being used to talk about towards your elders or towards people that are older than you. What kind of way is that to talk? So the toshiyue ni taishite, towards your elders, how can you talk like that? What kind of question is that?
シャ、この敵に対しては作戦を立て直す必要がある。素晴らしいな。
Here in Gundam, against the enemy. 敵に対しては As for against the enemy, we need to rethink our strategy.
正直僕は彼に対して友情を感じていない。
In JoJo, the feelings of friendship towards him, 彼に対して, so we can see that where those feelings are being directed is to him, towards him, he didn't feel any.
戦いが始まった時、あなたが自分に対して求める能力は何ですか?
What abilities are you looking for in yourself or towards yourself?
戦闘において敵との距離はとても重要だ。誰に対しても有利な間合いを保て。
ああ、分かっているつもりだ。
And finally, here in Smash Brothers, keep advantageous spacing against everyone or towards everyone. 誰に対しても, no matter who it's against, make sure to keep advantageous spacing. The main difference between this に対して and perhaps some other expressions that you're familiar with, について or に関して, concerning or regarding. に対して is a little bit different. It can sometimes mean concerning or regarding, but it's more about expressing something being towards someone else or some other's action. She is kind towards him. 彼女は彼に対しては優しい. It has this feeling like you're doing an action towards the other. So if you look at it literally, the thing of not knowing towards the Titans. These feelings towards those people. Concerning towards me. Needing to rethink our strategy towards the enemy. It has this feeling of movement, the action towards whatever is marked with に対して.
ごめん。私もやっぱり上へ行く。うん。心に従って。
Next we have に従って. This piece of grammar is attached to verbs and nouns to express as, therefore, in accordance with, according to, or consequently. This に従って actually comes from the verb 従う, to obey something like a law or an order, or to abide by something like a rule or a custom. You're following something, you're going with something. And that can really help you understand how this piece of grammar is used, because you're following, like here in Final Fantasy VII, following your heart. So go in accordance with your heart would be perhaps a more literal way of looking at how this is being used here in Final Fantasy VII Remake. But we might just say in English, follow your heart, go with your heart.
着いた古い神社。ここで願い事をして神様に感謝するの。決まった手順に従ってね。
Or like here in Sumire, following the steps that are custom. So here she's talking about following in accordance with the steps in which you pray at a shrine.
じゃあブレイブ・ベスペリアの掟に従ってけじめをつけさせてもらうぜ。
According to the code of Brave Vesperia. So here, okite for a code is kind of like a law, something you need to follow. So here, according to that code or that law, dun dun dun.
この世は想像もつかない大きな法則に従って流れている。その流れを知り、分解して再構築する。それが錬金術。
Here in Fullmetal Alchemist, according to the great laws of this world.
彼女は役目に従ってここにいるだけだよ。兵器としての役目にね。
And finally, here in Persona 3, following her role. So Yakume could be for something that's like a role or a part, and here she's following that role or part. She's acting in accordance with her role. So you can see how ni shitagatte is actually connected to the verb shitagao, to follow something like a rule or a law or a custom, here being used in the te form, like the te form can be used in the middle of a sentence, or also as some sort of suggestion of action.
ま、俺は社長のポリシーに従ってるだけでね。偉そうに言うつもりはないけど。
And we can actually see how this can be used just as a verb by itself here in Yakuza 0, following the company president's policy. ポリシーに従っている. So this grammar point that we're learning just stops in the te form, but it can actually be used just like here in a verb, following the policy. But just remember that the most common way you'll see it is in accordance with. And if you wanted a bit more natural English, it would be something like to follow something, or to do according to. Be in accordance with your heart. Follow your heart. Be in accordance with the customs. Follow the customs. Be in accordance with your role, or follow your role. This に従って can also be used to express that when you do something, something else gradually happens.
どういうこと？
私たちが広げてる。あるいは怪盗が大衆に認知されるに従ってメメントスが奥への侵入を許している。
Like for example playing a video game. As you complete the stages, ステージをクリアするに従って it becomes more difficult. 難しくなります。Or as it got darker, it got colder and colder. 暗くなるに従ってだんだん寒くなってきました。Here, this use of に従って isn't literally in accordance with. This would be a bit weird, right? In accordance with clearing stages, it gets more difficult. That's very strange. In accordance with, as it gets darker, it gets colder. But you can see that it is following something. It's following some sort of order. The order of, as you progress stages, it becomes more difficult. Following the order of, as it becomes darker, it becomes colder. And so you may sometimes see it being used in this way as well. As something happens, the following thing also happens.
どっちを選ぶにしてもクリアすべき障害がいくつかありそうだな。
にしても. Very simply, にしても can be translated as kind of like an even if, even though, or regardless of, dun dun dun. And this is relatively simple. It's just expressing that even if something was a certain way. Temo means even if. にして is kind of like to do or to treat something in a certain way. So even if you were to do it in that way, even if it was that way, the following thing is true. So maybe perhaps you've talked about how difficult it is to study Japanese, and even though that's true, it's still fun. So in this example sentence, it's regardless of that. それにしても. Regardless of that, the following thing is true. Or like seen here in Buddy Mission Bond, regardless of which we choose. どっちを選ぶにしても, no matter which one we choose, regardless of which one we choose, there are a few obstacles that we need to clear.
それにしても全然混んでないですね。
Or like here in Persona 5, even so, it's not so crowded here at all. So perhaps her expectation was that it was going to be crowded. She's surprised that it's not. So regardless of that, it's not very crowded at all.
やっぱりソニックの方がすごいよ。
Thank you. どっちにしても俺たちは頑張ったわけだ。
Here Tails is saying how awesome Sonic is, and he says, well look, either way, it's because we did our best. So regardless of which it is, どっちにしても. Dochi is for which, ni shitemo is regardless of. So regardless of which it is, either way, we did our best.
どちらにしても調べる必要があるわね。
Or like here in 13 Sentinels, regardless of whether that's true or not, we need to investigate.
それにしても遅いな、グリフィス。
Or like here in Berserk, trying to figure out what's going on, and they say, well, at any rate, regardless of that, he's quite late.
情報を聞き出すにしても慎重にやらなきゃいけないってことですね。
And finally again here in Buddy Mission Bond, regardless of getting information out, we need to be careful. So we can see that ni shitemo means regardless of or even if, no matter. No matter which we choose, regardless of which we choose, there's going to be some obstacles. Regardless of that, he's late. Regardless of wanting to get information out of them, we need to be very careful. So this isn't too difficult of a piece of grammar. Temo means even if, ni shitemo, even if you do that. So even if, regardless, the following thing is still true. Now there are a few other ways you may see this piece of grammar being used. It can actually be repeated to list multiple things, usually for two things.
でも、もう俺には何も。
まだ指輪にしても嫁にしてもわからねえことの方が多いんだ。
So like for example, regardless of if it's a cat or a dog, this apartment won't let you have pets. You could just use this even with one of them, or you can use it after both nouns to express neither this nor that, regardless of this, regardless of that. The following thing is still true. It doesn't matter which kind of pet, they're banned. And you can also see this piece of language used with a little bit more of a stiff way of talking, a bit more formal way, with niseo.
どんな世界にせよ、あいつは放っておくわけにはいかないな。
Or nishiro.
多くの村人が傷を負った。戦うにしろ逃げるにしろ、休息は必要だ。
This means the same thing, it's just a more formal, stiff way of talking. So you may see nishitemo, niseo, or even nishiro to mean regardless of. So congratulations guys, that's yet another N3 grammar video. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. It was very interesting. We learned nishitewa to express that the reality is actually going against your expectation. Despite the fact, considering it's your first time, you did a great job. The expectation being that normally when you do something for the first time, you wouldn't do a good job. Ni taishite to express towards, against, regarding something. It kind of feels like the verb that comes after is being moving in the direction of whatever you're talking about. Being ignorant towards the kyojin. Having feelings towards someone else. Needing to rethink your strategy towards a certain enemy. We learned ni shitagatte to express in accordance with, kind of to follow something. In accordance with your heart. Follow your heart. Or in accordance with a certain rule or custom, or follow that rule or custom. But we also learned how it can be used with as something, then dun dun dun. As it becomes dark, it gets colder and colder. And finally, we learned nishitemo to express regardless of. Regardless of Japanese being hard to study, it's fun. Regardless of which you choose, we need to be careful. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks so much guys for watching. As always, make sure to like, subscribe, and come join us on the Game Gengo Discord on Patreon. Got a lot more videos coming, so thanks so much guys for watching. And as always, I'll see you guys next time. See ya.